What if everything you're trying so hard to manifest was already finished? What if the love, the peace, the abundance you're chasing are not goals to reach, but memories waiting to be remembered? Most people spend years trying to live in the end, without realizing the paradox. The moment you try, you've already stepped out of it. Neville Goddard's law of assumption explains something the world still overlooks. Creation is finished. You don't have to fight for the wish fulfilled. You only have to awaken to it. The truth is, imagination creates reality, not someday, but now. Every scene you replay in consciousness is a doorway to a world that already exists. But here's the twist few ever grasp. Living in the end isn't about pretending. It's about remembering. The end you seek isn't out there. It's within you, quietly waiting for recognition. Once you feel it real, everything else falls into place. You stop asking when and start embodying now. So if you've been visualizing, affirming and striving, but still feel stuck, this is for you. Because tonight, we're not going to chase your desire. We're going to uncover the reason it's been chasing you. Most people spend their whole lives chasing the end. They run after success, love or peace, as if these things live somewhere outside of them. But what if the end you're chasing has been quietly waiting for you inside your own imagination all along? Living in the end, Neville Goddard taught, isn't about getting there. It's about realizing you're already home. The law of assumption explained this beautifully. You stop reaching and start remembering. It sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? The idea that the moment you assume something, the journey is over. Yet this is what Neville meant when he said, "Creation is finished," explained. There's nothing new to create, only to assume. When someone finally grasps that their inner state is the real destination, the anxiety to make it happen dissolves. Suddenly, life feels less like a climb and more like a remembering. Think of how often people pray for a better tomorrow but doubt in the same breath. They beg God for change, not realizing their very pleading affirms lack. Neville Goddard often said the wish-fulfilled Neville method begins where wanting ends. To live in the end means to close the gap between you and what you desire, to feel it done, here and now. The journey ends when you stop asking and start being. Imagine walking into a movie already knowing the ending. You can relax, enjoy the story, and let every scene unfold with calm assurance. That's what living in the end feels like. You're not forcing scenes, you're watching them, knowing the ending is secure. The tension vanishes, replaced by quiet faith. The outer world becomes a mirror of that invisible completion inside. But here's where most struggle. The mind loves to measure progress. It says, if I don't see it, it's not real. That's the trap. Imagination creates reality. Neville proved that the unseen precedes the seen. Just as a seed holds the entire tree within it, your assumption holds the full harvest. When you persist in that invisible certainty, you're not pretending. It's the truest form of living in the end. There's a story Neville told about a woman who longed for reconciliation. She stopped praying for it to happen and began to fall asleep each night, feeling that it already had. Within weeks, it was done. No striving, no manipulation, just quiet conviction. That's the law of assumption in motion. What you inwardly accept as true must mirror outwardly. The journey really ends when assumption begins. Think about it. Every goal we chase is an emotional state in disguise. We don't want money. We want freedom. We don't want love. We want connection. And those feelings are available now if we dare to assume them. When Neville said feeling is the secret, he wasn't poetic. He was practical. The end is not a place. It's a feeling you choose to inhabit until the world agrees. If someone tells you they're trying to get there, you can smile and know they already are, they just don't believe it yet. It's like standing in sunlight and still asking, where's the sun? The law of assumption explained this madness simply. You can't become what you already are. You can only awaken to it. Consciousness is both the path and the destination. Living in the end isn't a sprint. It's surrender. It's that moment when striving turns into stillness, when you no longer fight for the future because you feel the future now. That's the essence of how to feel it real Neville Goddard spoke of. You relax into fulfillment, not chase it. You stop building bridges to what's already here. So the next time your mind whispers you're not there yet, smile gently. That voice is just habit speaking. The truth is, you've been there all along. In consciousness, you've never left. And once that truth begins to sink in, you'll naturally start to see the world through new eyes. Which brings us to what Neville meant when he said, living in the end is not acting as if, it's being as if. Most people misunderstand Neville's teaching and think living in the end means pretending, putting on an act until the universe notices. But Neville Goddard never said to act as if, he said to be as if. The difference sounds small, yet it's everything. Acting keeps you in performance mode, but being places you in the reality of fulfillment itself. You stop auditioning for the role of the one who has it and start embodying it naturally. It's like the difference between a stage actor and a person who truly believes they are the character. One performs, the other is. The law of assumption explained that your outer world is just a reflection of who you assume yourself to be. When you act, you're aware of pretending. When you are, pretending disappears. Living in the end Neville Goddard style is quiet. It's a knowing, not a show. Neville often said, "You cannot persist in feeling a state and not express it." That's why trying too hard breaks the magic. The wish-fulfilled Neville method doesn't require effort. It requires inner agreement. To be as if is to rest in the identity that already possesses what you desire. It's not about fooling reality. It's about aligning with truth. The performance ends the moment you stop doubting who you already are. Think of a person learning to swim. In the beginning, they act like a swimmer, awkward, fearful, deliberate. But once they relax and trust the water, they become the swimmer. The motion becomes natural, effortless. That's the same shift that happens in consciousness. You move from acting to being, from tension to flow. That's the real meaning of feeling, is the secret. Every scene you try to create is just an echo of what you believe yourself to be. When you change the inner assumption, the outer must rearrange. That's why imagination creates reality, Neville style. It doesn't decorate the world, it defines it. The end you seek is not a scene to visualize endlessly, it's a vibration to inhabit. When you live there mentally, everything external becomes a mirror to that inner stillness. Neville used to tell his students, "You can't fake consciousness." You can repeat affirmations, visualize images, light candles, but unless you feel it real, nothing moves. Being as if is not about outer gestures, it's about inner conviction. You wear the new identity the way you wear your own skin, without effort, without checking the mirror every 5 minutes to see if it's still on. Let's make it practical. Suppose you desire financial freedom. Acting as if means buying things you can't afford to feel abundant. Being as if means walking with quiet security, knowing you're supported even before money shows up. The law of assumption is mental wealth, not material spending. The real shift happens when peace becomes your proof, not numbers in your account. This is why Neville insisted that creation is finished, explained all striving. You're not creating new outcomes, you're selecting states of consciousness. Every possibility already exists. You don't need to build the house, you just need to move in mentally. And when you do, the keys to the physical door eventually appear in your hand. That's the way consciousness works, through assumption, not effort. The reason so many struggle is because they confuse imagination with fantasy. Fantasy wants something someday. Imagination is something now. When you feel yourself as already fulfilled, your nervous system relaxes, your actions align, and synchronicities unfold. The invisible becomes visible. That's not a miracle, it's law. The law of assumption never fails when fully embodied. So remember, acting belongs to theater, being belongs to truth. The end you're trying to reach is not a movie scene, but a state of awareness that you can enter this very moment. And once you taste that difference, the shift from pretending to possessing, you'll see why trying to manifest often backfires. Which brings us to the next hidden trap most people fall into, the subtle feeling of separation from their wish. It's a quiet trap, almost invisible. People say they're manifesting, but deep down they're affirming separation. Every time someone says, "I want this so badly," what they're really declaring is, "I don't have it yet." That subtle distance between wanting and being is what delays everything. Neville Goddard warned that desire must turn into assumption because the law of assumption explained that consciousness creates, not craving. Imagine two magnets slightly apart. No matter how strong their pull, if there's distance between them, they can't connect. That's what happens when you try to attract from a place of lack. The stronger your desire, the more you reinforce that gap. Living in the end. Neville Goddard style erases the space between me and it. You merge with the wish. You become one with what you seek. Neville's wish-fulfilled Neville method isn't about begging the universe. It's about realizing that the universe is your imagination, already complete. When you feel separate from your desire, you unconsciously keep it at arm's length. But when you identify as the one who already has it, life rearranges itself to prove you right. The bridge of incidents forms naturally from within your assumption. Think about the last time you worried about something. Didn't the worry itself make it feel more real? The same law works in reverse. When you rest in the end, the certainty feels so normal that you stop worrying altogether. That's how to feel it real, Neville Goddard meant. Feeling not the desire itself, but the quiet relief that it's already done. No fireworks, no forcing, just peace. People love to say, "I'm trying to manifest," as if effort could twist reality into shape. But creation is finished explained that everything already exists as potential. You're not building anything. You're tuning into what's already true. Feeling separate is like trying to catch your reflection. It moves as you move. Unity begins when you stop chasing and start being. Here's an analogy. Think of a radio. If you want to hear jazz, you don't beg the radio to play it. You simply tune to the right frequency. The jazz was already there waiting. That's exactly how the law of assumption works. The wish fulfilled isn't created, it's selected. The static between stations, that's the noise of doubt and wanting. Clarity only comes when you tune all the way in. This is why Neville emphasized imagination creates reality, because imagination is the only place where separation dissolves. When you imagine from the wish fulfilled, not of it, you collapse the distance instantly. It's not about visualizing the car or the partner. It's about being the version of yourself who already has them and feeling how normal that feels. That's real magic. The human mind loves the illusion of progress, steps, methods, rituals, but consciousness doesn't need ladders. It moves instantly. The moment you assume "I am," everything begins to bend toward that truth. Yet most people keep asking, "Where is it?" Not realizing the very question rebuilds the wall between them and fulfillment. Faith means closing your eyes to the gap. Neville once said, "Your assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact." That persistence isn't about repetition, it's about loyalty. Loyalty to your inner reality over appearances. You'll know you've crossed the line from wanting to being when peace replaces pressure, when you no longer monitor time or results. That's the beginning of true faith, the kind that moves the unseen. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I want," pause and shift to "I am." Notice how the energy changes. You're no longer a seeker, you're a rememberer. And that's where living in the end truly begins. When you stop looking for proof outside and start resting in proof within. From here, the only thing left to learn is how fulfillment feels, which is exactly where we're going next. One of the biggest misconceptions about manifestation is thinking it should feel like fireworks, excitement, adrenaline, a rush of joy. But Neville Goddard taught something entirely different. Living in the end is not about emotional highs, it's about quiet normalcy. The law of assumption explained that fulfillment doesn't scream, it whispers. The deeper you enter that state, the calmer it feels. Think about how you feel after completing something important. Not before, not during, but after. There's a sigh, a sense of exhale. That's the essence of how to feel it real, Neville Goddard described. The energy of "it's done" carries relief, not thrill. Gratitude, not grasping. When you live in that soft satisfaction, your consciousness signals to the universe, "This is who I am now." It's funny how many confuse excitement with faith. Excitement is temporary. It burns out. Faith, however, is steady. It's quiet confidence that doesn't need to check whether the wish is on its way. That's why Neville said, "Feeling is the secret." The feeling of fulfillment isn't loud or forced. It's simple, natural, inevitable. You no longer chase the outcome, you rest inside it. Imagine you've already moved into your dream home. After a few weeks, you stop marveling at every corner. It just feels normal. That's the state of wish-fulfilled Neville method. The more natural it feels, the faster reality matches it. The end becomes an ordinary part of you, not something extraordinary you're waiting for. This is what being as if truly means. Neville's creation is finished explained the paradox perfectly. Everything already exists. You're not convincing the world, you're convincing yourself. And the proof isn't in emotion, but in ease. The lighter you feel, the closer you are. Relief is the emotional signature of arrival. Gratitude cements it, because gratitude can only exist for what already is. People often say, "I don't feel anything when I visualize." That's fine. You don't need to. You only need to notice whether you feel done. Feeling done is subtle. It's like finishing a prayer and knowing it was heard. That's what living in the end Neville Goddard truly meant. Not drama, but certainty. a soft exhale that says, "Thank you, it's complete." It's this simplicity that most overlook, because the ego loves effort. It wants to do something to prove it's working. But the law of assumption works best when you stop doing and start being. The shift is internal, from striving to stillness. The more you try to make it happen, the more you affirm it hasn't. But when you rest in gratitude, you declare, "It's already mine." Here's a little practice. Tonight before bed, imagine your desire is fulfilled, not by seeing it, but by feeling how ordinary it would be. Would you wake up differently? Probably not. Would you feel relief? Absolutely. That ordinary peace is the door to miracles. It's the vibration of completion that imagination creates reality. Neville spoke of again and again. When people say, "I don't know if I'm doing it right," the answer is simple. If it feels easy, you are. The truth doesn't strain. Reality bends where peace begins. The energy of done is so soft that most overlook it, but it's the still water where reflection appears clear. Gratitude is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. So the next time you close your eyes to imagine, don't seek emotional fireworks. Seek the feeling of homecoming, that deep breath of relief that says, "I'm here." Because once you touch that, the next step naturally unfolds, meeting the version of yourself who already lives there. Let's make it practical. Neville Goddard never wanted his students to just read about the law of assumption. He wanted them to live it. So here's the invitation. Close your eyes, and without effort, step into the version of yourself who already lives your desire. No striving, no reaching, just awareness. Because living in the end, Neville Goddard style, isn't about creation, it's about recognition. Imagine you're already that person. How do you wake up in the morning? What thoughts cross your mind before you even open your eyes? Most people skip this level of detail, but that's where transformation begins. You don't visualize a scene to make it happen. You enter the scene to remember it's already real. That's how to feel it real, Neville Goddard meant, through embodiment, not observation. It's a quiet practice. You don't need incense, music, or candlelight, only presence. When you step into that self, notice how ordinary it feels. Not magical, not overwhelming, just right. That's the secret many miss. The wish-fulfilled Neville method isn't about fantasy. It's about normalcy. When the new state feels natural, you've entered it successfully. Picture this. Someone who once struggled with money now lives in abundance. Do they check their bank account every 5 minutes? No. They walk differently. They speak differently. But it's subtle. It's not arrogance, it's ease. That's the shift Neville wanted people to feel. The law of assumption explained that your state of being silently instructs the world on how to treat you. You can do this anywhere, before sleep, in the shower, while waiting in line. Close your eyes and drop into that frequency. Feel the weight of fulfillment. It's like slipping into warm water. Your body instantly relaxes. That's your sign. Imagination creates reality, Neville taught. So when you imagine from that place, not toward it, the outer world must catch up. If you ever doubt it, look at how you already live unconsciously in certain assumptions. You assume gravity works, that your name belongs to you, that the sun will rise. You don't try to believe those things. You simply know. That's the same level of certainty you cultivate here. The more effortless it becomes, the closer you are to what Neville called living in the end. Some people say, "But I can't see it clearly." Vision doesn't matter. Feeling is the secret. The emotional texture of fulfillment outweighs all mental pictures. A blurry image with strong feeling creates faster than a crystal clear image filled with doubt. Focus less on what it looks like and more on what it feels like to be the one who already has it. Here's a tip. Anchor this state in small actions. If your fulfilled self takes walks in gratitude, do that now. If they speak gently, start today. You're not pretending, you're rehearsing your truth. Neville Goddard used to say, "Your future self is whispering to you through your desires." So let those whispers guide your small ordinary moments until they feel like home. Over time, this practice becomes second nature. You won't need to enter the state anymore. You'll live there by default. That's when imagination and reality merge. The line between the unseen and the seen dissolves. The world becomes your mirror, and every reflection says, "You did it." Because in truth, you didn't do anything. You simply remembered. And when you start living that way, something beautiful happens. External contradictions no longer shake you. You'll feel anchored in the invisible, unbothered by appearances. That's where Neville takes us next. Learning how to stay loyal to the inner reality when the outer seems to disagree. Neville Goddard used to say that imagination is the womb of creation, but it's feeling that gives birth to it. You can imagine all day long, but without emotion, nothing takes root. The law of assumption explained that imagination without feeling is like planting seeds on stone. It's feeling that turns invisible pictures into living experiences. The moment the end feels real, it begins to harden into fact. Think of imagination as a movie projector. It shines the picture, but it's the emotion behind it that gives the film depth, sound, and life. When Neville said feeling is the secret, he wasn't exaggerating. He meant that the emotion of fulfillment is the creative force itself. That's why living in the end Neville Goddard style isn't passive dreaming, it's conscious feeling. But here's the key, it has to feel natural. If the feeling is forced, the mind resists it. The wish-fulfilled Neville method isn't about screaming affirmations or chasing excitement, it's about quiet conviction. When fulfillment feels ordinary, it's done. That ordinariness is power disguised as calm. The universe recognizes calm certainty faster than desperate enthusiasm. You've seen it before. People who just know something will work out. They don't explain or defend it. They simply rest in assurance. That's what how to feel it real Neville Goddard really means. Knowing so deeply that even if the 3D world contradicts you, you remain unmoved. Feeling, not seeing, becomes your proof. The more natural your assumption feels, the quicker it manifests. It's like teaching your subconscious a new language. At first it doubts. It asks, are we really safe? Is it really done? But as you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the subconscious relaxes and says, oh, I see. This is our new normal. And once that belief settles in, imagination creates reality, Neville style. The external must mirror what the inner has accepted as fact. A simple practice. Imagine your desire, but don't picture it happening. Picture it being done. Then ask yourself, how would it feel if this were just my life now? That question drops you instantly into alignment. The mind stops chasing and starts embodying. It's subtle, but in that subtlety lies all the power. Feeling transforms imagining from fantasy into faith. Notice how the body reacts when you shift states. Your breath slows, shoulders drop, heart steadies. That's your signal. You've entered the end. The nervous system doesn't lie. When you're still tense, you're still seeking. When you feel peace, you've arrived. Neville Goddard always said that the test of success isn't excitement, it's relief. Relief means alignment. The ego will try to complicate this. It'll say, you need more techniques, more effort, more proof. But creation doesn't respond to effort, it responds to resonance. The creation is finished explained truth is that reality conforms effortlessly to inner conviction. The more you trust, the faster it flows. You can't rush the process. You can only relax into it. Feeling is like the ignition key. Without it, imagination just idles. Beautiful, but still. The moment you feel the wish fulfilled, the car starts moving. And you don't have to steer it obsessively. The path unfolds naturally. You'll notice coincidences, impulses, conversations, all guiding you toward what you already are. That's the quiet genius of the law of assumption. And when you begin to live this way, you'll notice something else too. Contradictions from the outer world won't bother you anymore. You'll see them as old echoes of a former belief, fading away. That's where the real mastery begins, learning how to stay loyal to what you feel within, even when your senses scream otherwise. This is where most people lose faith. They understand the law of assumption explained in theory, they practice visualization, they even feel their wish fulfilled. And then life shows them the opposite. The bills arrive, the call doesn't come, the body still aches. That's the moment the ego screams, see, it's not working. But Neville Goddard warned, that's precisely when faith is tested, not lost. The world you see is only a reflection, delayed, like an echo bouncing off old walls. Fighting appearances is like arguing with your mirror. You can't change the reflection by shouting, you change it by changing your stance. Living in the end. Neville Goddard style means trusting the unseen long enough for the seen to catch up. The outer world is always one belief behind. Imagine planting a seed and digging it up every day to check if it's growing. That's what most people do with their manifestations. They affirm, then doubt, affirm, then doubt. But creation is finished explained that the harvest was done the moment you assumed. The soil doesn't need your worry, it needs your stillness. When you stop checking, growth accelerates. Neville said, persist in the assumption, even if the world denies it. That's not denial, it's discipline. You're training your inner eye to see what the physical eye cannot yet. The law of assumption works like gravity, impartial, consistent, predictable. The only thing that can interrupt it is your wavering. Stay loyal to your inner conviction, and the world must rearrange. Let's make it relatable. Think of someone training for a marathon. In week 1, their body feels weak. If they judged progress by soreness, they'd quit. But they trust the unseen process happening inside. Muscles rebuilding, stamina forming. Conscious creation works the same way. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean it's not happening. Imagination creates reality. Neville proved that the unseen always precedes the seen. When 3D appearances contradict you, treat them like old data. They belong to a past version of you. The moment you assume something new, a new script begins. But the old scenes may still play out briefly. Don't panic. You're watching reruns while the next episode is already filmed. The less you react, the faster the new story premieres. Neville often used the phrase, "Remain faithful to your assumption." Faithfulness isn't stubbornness, it's steadiness. It means you refuse to bow to appearances because you know they're only shadows. The wish-fulfilled Neville method demands inner loyalty, not outer proof. You hold the end in consciousness until the world, reluctantly at first, mirrors it back to you. There's power in calm defiance, the kind that smiles at contradiction. You might say, "Yes, I see what appears, but I know what's true." That quiet knowing carries more creative force than 1,000 affirmations shouted in panic. It's what feeling is the secret truly means. A feeling of stability, even when storms rage outside. Faith isn't blind, it's visionary. Remember, your senses report the past, not the present. By the time something becomes visible, it's already old news in consciousness. So don't fight appearances, outgrow them. Every time you choose inner peace over reaction, you're declaring, "My imagination rules this world." That's what Neville meant when he said, "Loyalty to the unseen is the path to freedom." And once you stop fighting what you see, something magical happens. Peace becomes your default. You stop needing proof because you are the proof. That inner silence is the sign that you're truly living in the end. And it's from that silence that the first signs of real mastery begin to appear. Peace replacing urgency. Knowing replacing checking. There's a quiet moment in every manifestation journey when something shifts, not outside, but inside. The restlessness fades. The constant checking stops. You're no longer chasing signs, numbers, or synchronicities because peace has settled in. That's the moment Neville Goddard called true living in the end. You finally realize that the desire and the fulfillment are one and the same. It's subtle, almost anticlimactic. You wake up one morning and simply know. The law of assumption explained that once the feeling of reality becomes natural, physical confirmation becomes unnecessary. It's like knowing your own name, but you don't have to repeat it to believe it. When you live in that level of certainty, life stops testing you and starts responding to you. Neville used to say, "You will know when you are there." He didn't mean a voice will announce it, he meant your heart will quiet. The wish-fulfilled Neville method produces calm, not excitement. You stop asking, "When will it happen?" because that question no longer makes sense. There's nothing to wait for, you've already arrived in consciousness, and creation is finished explained that consciousness is the only cause. Here's the paradox. Before you sought peace to prove your manifestation was coming. Now peace is the proof. That's what How to Feel It Real. Neville Goddard taught. That feeling is the evidence of things unseen. When you feel the quiet assurance of fulfillment, you're no longer searching. The desire dissolves because what you sought has merged with who you are. You'll notice practical signs too. You stop scrolling through manifestation success stories because you no longer need validation. You stop checking timelines and comparing progress. You stop telling your story from lack. Instead, you find yourself giving thanks for things not yet visible, not as a ritual, but as a reflex. That's what it means to live in the end, Neville Goddard style. Gratitude without reason. One of Neville's students once said, "When I finally stopped checking, everything showed up." That's the essence of faith. The law of assumption operates automatically once you release the need to control. Control implies fear, surrender implies certainty, and reality always matches certainty. That's the science behind imagination creates reality, Neville style. The inner conviction is the command. This peace isn't passive, it's powerful. It's the kind of serenity that radiates authority. People feel it around you. Circumstances begin to soften. Opportunities approach instead of being chased. It's the invisible magnetism of one who knows. You're no longer vibrating, please. You're emanating, thank you. That single shift transforms your entire field. Some mistake this calm for indifference. It's not. Indifference says, I don't care. Peace says, I already have. They feel different in your body. Indifference is hollow. Peace is full. When you live in the end, your silence carries weight. You could say nothing and still move mountains. The feeling is the secret, and that feeling is quiet power. This stage also reveals a kind of humor. You laugh at your old self, the one who used to doubt, worry, or refresh reality like a page waiting to load. You realize it was never about timing. It was about trust. You were never waiting on life. Life was waiting on your certainty. The outer world was simply following your inner lead all along. And that's where Neville's teaching becomes truly embodied, when you stop checking and start being. When peace becomes your baseline, manifestation feels almost irrelevant. You're too busy living the reality you once prayed for. And it's from that state of wholeness that something deeper emerges. Visualization no longer feels like escape. It feels like remembrance. In the beginning, most people use imagination as a refuge, a place to hide from what they don't like. But Neville Goddard taught that imagination creates reality, not as an escape hatch, but as the truest expression of who you are. When you're deeply embodied in your wish fulfilled, visualization stops being fantasy and becomes familiarity. You're not running from the present, you're expanding it. This is what the law of assumption explained so beautifully. You don't imagine to get something, you imagine to remember something. The scene you enter in consciousness isn't make-believe, it's memory from the unseen realm of completed creation. That's why Neville said creation is finished, explained everything. You're not inventing, you're remembering your eternal truth. You'll know you've reached embodiment when the act of visualizing feels less like effort and more like breathing. There's no strain, no emotional high, just quiet recognition. This is me. The wish-fulfilled Neville method becomes second nature. You're not stepping into the scene anymore. The scene lives in you. You carry it like perfume, invisible but undeniable. Many people visualize because they dislike their current circumstances, but true mastery happens when you can sit in the same physical place and feel completely different inside it. That's living in the end, Neville Goddard meant. Not abandoning the now, but transforming it. You could be in a small apartment and still feel the atmosphere of abundance. You're not pretending, you're perceiving truth before others can see it. Neville often said, the world is yourself pushed out. So when you embody a new state, the outer world eventually conforms to match it, but you no longer rush that process. You no longer visualize to fix what's broken, you visualize to express what's whole. The law of assumption then ceases to be a tool and becomes your natural way of seeing. It's like wearing a new pair of glasses. At first you notice every difference. Colors sharper, edges clearer, but after a while you forget you're wearing them. That's deep embodiment. You no longer practice the how to feel it real Neville Goddard taught. You live it. You've become so identified with the fulfilled version of yourself that the act of assuming feels redundant. When you reach this level, imagination becomes sacred play. You close your eyes not to escape, but to commune with what's real. You see your fulfilled life not as a distant dream, but as a living memory. The emotions that once felt forced now flow naturally. Gratitude, ease, certainty. And from that place, your actions in the physical world become aligned, graceful, and effortless. You'll notice too that visualization becomes shorter. You don't need long sessions anymore. A single instant of true embodiment carries more creative power than hours of forced imagining. That's because your assumption has sunk from mind to being. The seed is no longer on the surface. It's rooted in your identity. From there, feeling is the secret, becomes your daily rhythm. This is the shift Neville wanted for every student, to move from seeker to creator, from dreamer to rememberer. When you visualize now, you're not begging life to change. You're letting your divine memories surface. You're rehearsing truth, not desire. Every mental image becomes a quiet thank you to creation already complete. And once that embodiment stabilizes, a new understanding dawns, that living in the end was never about pretending the wish is fulfilled, but about remembering it always was. That's the hidden truth Neville reserved for those who moved beyond practice into presence, and that's exactly where we're heading next. This is the revelation that changes everything. For most of the journey, we believe we're moving towards something, manifesting, creating, becoming, but Neville Goddard's teaching reveals a softer, deeper truth. Nothing new is ever created. The law of assumption explained that all states already exist in the eternal now. Living in the end isn't imagination pretending, it's awareness remembering. When you begin to grasp this, the entire game shifts. You stop trying to make things happen. You stop manipulating energy or waiting for signs. Instead, you start remembering who you are, what's already yours, and that creation is finished, explained long before you even desired it. The wish-fulfilled Neville method is, at its core, a return to memory. Neville often said, "There is no one to change but self." That's because the outer world isn't a creation process, it's a revelation process. What we call manifestation is simply consciousness unveiling itself. Imagination creates reality. Neville's style means the external world unfolds from what you've already accepted as true within. You're not writing a new story, you're rereading an eternal one from a higher page. Think of it like tuning a radio. The songs don't start playing when you turn the dial, they were already broadcasting. You simply aligned with the right frequency. The same is true of consciousness. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you're not generating the outcome. You're joining the version of yourself who's been living it all along. You're remembering what the soul never forgot. That's why Neville insisted that feeling is the secret. Feeling is the bridge between forgetfulness and remembrance. The moment you feel it real, you step back into alignment with what has always been true. The world adjusts accordingly, not because it's obeying you, but because it's reflecting your remembrance. What you call a miracle is simply memory made visible. This realization ends the need for struggle. Once you see that living in the end, Neville Goddard taught, is about remembering, striving dissolves. You can't chase what you already are, you can only awaken to it. That's why deep peace follows true understanding. The game of seeking collapses, and only knowing remains. You realize that every desire was life calling you home to a forgotten state. Even desire itself takes on new meaning. It's not lack, it's guidance. It's the echo of a fulfilled reality trying to get your attention. Every "I want" is really "I remember." The law of assumption then becomes effortless. You follow the feeling of recognition, not yearning. You stop asking, "How do I create it?" and start asking, "How do I remember it?" The difference changes everything. Once you see life this way, gratitude deepens. You no longer thank God for what's coming, you thank Him for what's already finished. And that gratitude expands your awareness of the finished creation. The outer world catches up, sometimes instantly, because there's nothing left to wait for. The moment you remember, it's done. How to feel it real, Neville Goddard in its purest form. This is the hidden truth Neville left between the lines. The secret only the quiet heart discovers. You were never becoming the person you're meant to be. You were always being them, but now you see it. Living in the end isn't pretending a wish fulfilled. It's remembering that fulfillment was your true nature all along. And from that remembrance, life stops being something to fix. It becomes something to witness. Because when you know creation is finished, all that's left is to live it. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, what if everything you've been praying for has already said yes? What if every delay was only your doubt echoing back? And the moment you rest in the end, life finally exhales with you. Neville Goddard didn't teach wishful thinking. He taught remembrance. Living in the end is not a technique. It's a return to identity. The law of assumption only needs one thing from you: loyalty to what you feel within, even when appearances scream otherwise. Because the outer world can only echo the conviction of your inner one. So tonight, before you sleep, step into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let peace replace urgency. Let gratitude replace striving. Whisper to yourself, "It's done." Because in the language of creation, that's the only prayer that ever mattered. And if this message stirred something in you, if you felt the truth of Neville's words resonate deep within, then make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, and keep walking this path with us. Each week, we uncover another layer of this divine law, not to give you new things to chase, but to remind you of the power you already are.